Hello, my name is Jill Rasmussen Baker. I've been involved as an educator in ACPE for 13 years. I'm now the Director of Spiritual Care at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. And today I get to share with you as a member of the ACPE Leadership Development Committee. I'm so glad you're engaging in this presentation and giving 3 of our ACPE colleagues and me the opportunity to share with you about important whys and ways of volunteering in ACPE. Next slide, please. We'll be sharing about why it's great to volunteer in ACPE, about when you can volunteer, about a whole variety of opportunities for you to serve in ACPE, and how to get involved. Next slide, please. There are a number of reasons why I think it's great for us to volunteer in ACPE. First of all, as you know, our work of providing spiritual care and of educating is so much about relationships. I've been volunteering at various levels of ACPE since I was a candidate. I find that my ACPE colleagues get me in ways that other people don't. And I really enjoy talking, sharing, and consulting with my ACPE friends and colleagues. Just as volunteering has helped me expand my network and build deeper relationships that help me feel supported in this work that can be quite challenging at times, I expect that volunteering will help you to have a sense of community and to feel supported in your important work. Being involved as a volunteer can also help you better understand ACPE and how it works, and it can help you stay abreast of ongoing changes and opportunities. In fact, my volunteering within ACPE played a significant role in my learning about and getting 2 different educator positions that I've gotten to serve in. Positions in which I got to serve and educate high-quality students, and I learned and grew a great deal too. And when I was hiring an ACPE educator, a colleague I met through volunteering was instrumental in my discerning the fit of an applicant for our CPE program. And one of the very best things about serving within ACPE is that it benefits you and ACPE as you contribute with your unique abilities to our providing the highest quality educational programs for spiritual care professionals. ACPE is a volunteer-led organization that relies on people like you and the 4 of us presenting today to serve from our diverse backgrounds and experiences. And now my excellent colleague, Satue Soga, will share even more about volunteering.
Thank you, Jill. Hi, I am Satue Soga. I'm a certified educator at Houston Methodist Hospital in Texas. I'm currently a member of the Leadership Development Committee. As an immigrant, I'm grateful for ACPE, who gave me the opportunity to develop leadership and to serve our organization. I hope you will consider volunteering by enhancing our diversity and bringing your unique perspectives into our organization. Now, when to volunteer? You may volunteer as early as a candidate. You can continue to volunteer throughout your journey as an ACPE certified educator. And you can even volunteer as a retired ACPE educator. Next, please. Now, ways to volunteer. Within the ACPE governance, there are board of directors, foundation board, executive director, and staff. Under the direction of the board of directors, there are several commissions and committees that evaluate and carry out our regulations. The commissions are Accreditation, certification, professional ethics, and psychotherapy. The committees are finance and audit, leadership development, advocacy, curriculum and educational resources, international relations, professional well-being, and research. If you look at these big boxes, you can see that for all the commissions and committees, we rely on volunteers to make important decisions and carry out our mission, vision, and purpose. That is why we invite you to listen to the following presentations about the function and goals of each commission and committee. And we hope you will start thinking about which ones may match your skill set and experiences so you can volunteer and take on leadership and contribute to the overall function of ACPE. Now, I would like to present Tom Laser, who will share about the Accreditation Commission and its functions.
Hi, my name is Pam Laser, as Satoe said, and I am a certified educator at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where I am the manager of the CPE program. My journey in ACPE started the day before 9/11, when I started as a resident at UCLA Medical Center. And then I went on to become a certified educator. I was certified as an associate in 2006, and obviously have continued with ACPE ever since then. I am in the Pacific, obviously, Pacific area, and I volunteered initially on the Representation and Nomination Committee for the Pacific, and then I was hired to start a CPE center at Cedars-Sinai. And so obviously when I was interviewed, they asked me if I knew how to get a CPE center accredited, and I said yes. This wasn't exactly true. I had no experience with accreditation, but I knew where to go for help. So I went to our commissioner, who said to me, well, why didn't you become involved in accreditation? And that will help you learn how to do it. Since then, I have been on the Accreditation Committee in the Pacific. I have been chair of the Pacific Accreditation Committee. I've been an accreditation commissioner with ACPE, the chair-elect of the Accreditation Commission, and the chair of the Accreditation Commission, which my term ended at the end of 2020. I am now serving on the Leadership Development Committee, so obviously I'm hooked on serving and volunteering with ACPE. And I'm also going to be taking part in accreditation site visits at centers. So as Jill and Satoe have both said, getting involved as a volunteer has been an incredibly meaningful experience for me. It has helped me get to know colleagues and make friends with colleagues outside of my immediate area and across the entire country. It's also helped me to be able to see, particularly through accreditation. I always wanted to be able to get out of my center and see how other centers did CPE and what other centers did that was creative and interesting and innovative. And being involved in accreditation has absolutely given me that ability. I also do just want to say there's a lot of information on these slides that are coming up, and so I'm not going to be covering all of it, but the slides are here for you to go back to and look at anytime you want to get more information. So accreditation is one of the ways that ACPE shows its uniqueness, because ACPE has, as you know, very high standards of excellence and high quality CPE centers and programs. And through accreditation, we ensure that as an association, that we are meeting these standards and assuring students that they're going to get the best CPE experience, no matter which ACPE center they go to, anywhere in the country. But we can't do this alone. Just as you have no doubt found out through your certification journey, this is a team sport, and accreditation is a team sport as well. So when you get involved in accreditation, and I highly encourage you to do that, what you will find is that there are accreditation reviewers, accreditation teams, and commissioners who all work collegially and collaboratively with certified educators at their centers to be able to articulate and understand how they do CPE, what their practice is, and where necessary to be able to improve and take their centers to the next level of excellence. There are a lot of ways that you can get involved with accreditation. As I mentioned, my first way of getting involved was right from the very beginning when I actually knew almost nothing about accreditation. And so I started as what would now be a portfolio reviewer. And this, as a portfolio reviewer, you would get the opportunity to be able to look at other centers' accreditation portfolios and see how they meet those standards. You would also get training to be able to do this and training to be able to understand what we mean through the accreditation standards and what we're looking for at centers, even though there are an infinite number of ways to be able to meet those standards. You can also get involved as a site team reviewer, and this is the way that you get out of your center and travel to other centers to be able to see what it is that they're doing on the ground in real time. Other ways to get involved is also to become a commissioner. Now, to become a commissioner, what you do need is a lot of experience. We hope that commissioners already have a lot of experience as portfolio reviewers and as site team members so that they know how ACPE accreditation is done, the number of different ways that it can be done. And the accreditation commissioner is the one who advises and is there as a sounding board and to be able to help interpret the standards for centers and educators and also provide education and training for portfolio reviewers and for site team members. So I highly, highly recommend that you get involved with accreditation. It's a wonderful way to learn more, to be able to understand more about how our practice as educators and make our centers the best that they possibly can be. And now I would like to introduce my wonderful colleague, Robin Franklin.
Thank you, wonderful colleague, Pam Laser. My name is Robin Franklin, and I am working at Strong Memorial Hospital, which is part of the University of Rochester Medical Center, which has become a large system and is actually what this center is called. I am the Director of Chaplaincy Services and CPE and have been here for quite a while, for 19 years come May. And I have been around CPE, ACPE, for almost as long as I have been at this center. I did my first unit of CPE in 1988 at Grady Memorial Hospital. And if anybody's counting, that is 33 years that I have been around this organization. I have served in several roles. When we had regions, I served on the executive committee for several years and served on the regional certification committee. I have been an accreditation reviewer in the old process. I have served on the personnel committee for the regional director and the personnel committee for a very short time on the national level. And I served on the certification commission for 6 years. I also completed somebody's term for 3. So I've been around certification for a long time. And now I serve as chair, which means I also served as chair-elect. I also did the certification task force, the very first one in the development of our new process. Why do I volunteer? So would you return to slide 3, please? So I would list all of those reasons on slide 3 why I volunteer. I've developed so many relationships and developed many networks across this organization. I'm often so surprised when we've met in person and the number of people I do know in the organization. It does give me opportunity to know what other people are doing. It gives me the opportunity to be involved and know what's going on in the organization. But I also volunteer because I was asked, and I don't think it's always good to wait around to be asked, but it's nice to know that a potential colleague or colleague thinks that you can do this job. I also volunteer because I'm just curious. My mother brought a bag home one day when she was returning from work. And I went straight to the bag to look inside. And she said, "What makes you think I want you to see what's in that bag?" I didn't have an answer. For me, the bag was there and it was meant to be opened. My curiosity has opened up many worlds for me in ACPE. And I would not get rid of my curiosity for anything. Please return to the certification slides. Thank you. So I'm not going to read through everything that is in these slides. You can go back and read them yourselves. Certification oversees those who are coming, like yourself, who are coming through the certification process, peer review, supervisory competence, and presently, you would not be able to serve on the certification commission because that takes some experience after supervising a number of students and being in the organization for 3 years after your certification process. But along the way, there are other things that you can do that will make you familiar with certification. And I would urge you to also look through the manuals to know what you could potentially be getting into, and talking to people who are already serving on certification, who can give you answers to your questions and give you the inside track on what it's like to be part of the certification commission. I think it's wise to not necessarily be involved in certification when you're going through certification. I think it puts your mind in too many different areas, and everybody's got a lot of work they need to do and need to focus on your theories and pulling together what it is you do with students. What's most important to remember is that for those who are going through the current process now, you can share your experience with others. It is so different when you can talk to somebody who's already been through it and to give you an idea of what your experience could be like. Reality is you are the future of ACPE. Many of my colleagues are retiring, and we're not replacing CEs as quickly as folks are retiring. So we desperately need your vision, insight, and energy. Not everyone coming through, of course, is in the 20s or 30s. There are people who are older, but you are also those of you in the millennial generation have the opportunity to speak to people in that generation coming through. They have different ways of thinking and different language, as 2 of my millennial students remind me all the time. ACPE needs your voice, your ideas, your minds, your curiosity, and wonder to enrich the bountiful stew that ACPE continues to move towards. I hope you will take an opportunity to volunteer. And I end with the Swahili greeting, Ashe, which can mean be with us. And now Jill will continue with this presentation.
Thank you so much, Robin, for sharing from your heart. Yeah, another important commission here is the Professional Ethics Commission that reviews complaints brought against an ACPE member, educator, center, or program, and takes action when there's been a violation of our valued ACPE standards regarding ethics and professional practice. And while you can read more of the details of this presentation in your Phase 2 curriculum on the SharePoint site, I want you to know the Professional Ethics Commission can play an advisory role in providing consultation to members in areas of potential conflict or other issues. Next slide, please. This commission also pays attention to issues of racism, discrimination, and systemic inequalities and their impact on ethical and moral reasoning. I hope you'll consider the Professional Ethics Commission. Next slide, please. And as you may know, in addition to CPE, ACPE encompasses psychotherapists and education in spiritually integrated psychotherapy. The Psychotherapy Commission oversees the formation and the continuing education of our ACPE psychotherapists, pastoral counselors, and other related spiritual care providers. And this includes their putting together procedures and guidelines and putting them in place, as well as supporting and developing high-quality educational resources for these valued professionals and members of ACPE. And now near and dear to my heart is our Leadership Development Committee, where we are bringing to you this presentation today. I really enjoy our collegiality and our relationships, and my valued colleague Sadaway will share more about this incredible committee.
Thank you, Jill. Just like Jill says, now we are going to talk about the committees. So first we start with Leadership Development Committee. Leadership Development Committee provides leadership within our organization in recruitment, advocacy, and education. We provide appropriate leadership training opportunities for members. So putting a curriculum like this for certified educator candidates like you is an example of how we develop leadership within our organization. Once a year, ACPE elects members to fill leadership positions for the commissions and committees. In communication with each commission and committee chair, Leadership Development Committee presents the slates of candidates for election. Next, please. We pay attention to persons with needed gifts and talents, and we advocate for inclusivity and diversity. We are a group of very nice, diverse, collaborative, hardworking, and I would say also humorous people. We meet monthly, and we welcome you to join us. Next slide, please. Now, Professional Wellbeing Committee. The Professional Wellbeing Committee monitors the well-being of ACPE members and their use of community of practice for their professional and personal development. It develops new programs to engage members and alumni, and it provides oversight and identifies best practices for professional consultation, support, collegiality, spiritual care, and wellness. For example, with my community of practice, which focuses on international CPE, we enhance our professional development by learning about how to collaborate with CPE programs outside of North America. And we receive consultation on supervising international CPE students. We also offer spiritual support to one another to ensure spiritual wellness of our COP members when the situation calls for it. Next, please. As you can see, your participation as a convener in a community of practice goes hand in hand with the support of the Professional Wellbeing Committee. Next, please. The Professional Wellbeing Committee meets monthly, and they welcome your ideas on how to support and nurture our members. Now we go to the next committee. It's the Research Committee. The Research Committee promotes and advances research in our professional community with a focus on educating ACPE certified educators, providers of spiritual care, and spiritual health educators. It works with ACPE Foundation grant processes and ACPE budget processes to fund research that advances the mission of ACPE. It also evaluates, approves, and monitors the progress of ACPE Foundation and ACPE funded research. We have all heard about the importance of offering evidence-based spiritual care. As part of the healing team, our practices need to be tested and proven to be effective. Next, please. If you have the experience with quantitative or qualitative research, the Research Committee welcomes you in the pursuit of promoting and advancing our profession as spiritual caregivers through research. Now, next committee. The next committee is the Curriculum and Educational Resources Committee. The Curriculum and Educational Resources Committee gathers, evaluates, and publicizes educational tools for resources for Level 1 and Level 2 curricula. It supports creativity and consistency in Level 1 and Level 2 educational programs. This committee also provides models for assessment of Level 1 and 2 students' learning, and it develops a CEU system for ACPE that increases accountability and collaborates with our cognate groups. Since you might have completed your CPE residency not that long ago, you may have ideas on creating CPE curricula that will enhance CPE students' Level 1 and 2 learning. If that is the case, you are the right person for this committee. The Curriculum and Education Resources Committee would love to hear from you. Now, I would like to pass the baton back to my wonderful colleague, Jill.
Thanks, Sadaway. Yeah, our next committee is the Advocacy Committee. And as you can see here, our Advocacy Committee members carry out their advocacy in a variety of ways. For one thing, they advocate for social issues that could impact ACPE individuals or as an organization. For example, on May 8th of 2020, a couple of weeks even before the death of George Floyd, the ACPE Advocacy Committee issued a statement condemning the killings of African Americans Ahmaud Arbery and Sean Reed. With this statement, they communicated ways that we can all serve faithfully against such injustice, noting that we can listen, act, and in their words, educate, 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 both ourselves and others on the consequences of racism in healthcare, mental health, and society. The Advocacy Committee also provides training to support CPE programs within host institutions. For example, the Advocacy Committee worked with our Anti-Bias Task Force and the Curriculum Committee to create the 846 webinar series that I hope you're already familiar with, where 8 minutes and 46 seconds refers to the time George Floyd gasped for breath with a policeman's knee on his neck. This series of 8 webinars, each 46 powerful minutes in length, provides invaluable and penetrating insight into such topics as the history of racism in healthcare, whiteness and anti-racist identity, Black liberation and womanist theologies, and queer theory and theology. And as you may know, you can find these webinars on the ACPE SharePoint site. Another role of the Advocacy Committee is to partner with our members to present concerns of individuals, centers, and/or communities of practice to the ACPE board for further review and possible action. Another role of this committee is to collaborate with groups, including the National Association of Catholic Chaplains and Neshama, the National Association of Jewish Chaplains, to build collegiality and common purpose to further the mission and vision of ACPE. Next slide, please. The Advocacy Committee also has the responsibility for serving our ACPE members and mission in even more disparate ways. They're responsible for engaging appropriate parties and informing members regarding national and local legislation affecting ACPE centers, including in such areas as Medicare pass-through, the Fair Labor Standards Act, and corporate mergers. They're also responsible for equipping members for professional presentations to hospital administration, legislatures, and other public figures. They're responsible for developing marketing and education, including continuity with ACPE branding. And they're responsible for continuing to advocate for ACPE with strategic partners and to collaborate on shared issues. Next slide, please. Can we go to the next slide, please? Another important and valuable opportunity for serving is with the ACPE Finance and Audit Committee. I'm sure that you're aware that for any organization to thrive requires fiscal responsibility and thoughtful stewardship, including careful budget planning and ongoing financial oversight. Next slide, please. And good news here is that it's my experience that there hasn't been a lot of competition for the positions on this committee, a vital place to serve ACPE if you are interested in and have basic and very valuable skills in things like budgeting and finance. I hope you'll consider the Finance and Audit Committee. And now I'll pass it back to my awesome colleague, Sadaway.
Thank you, Jill. Now, the International Relations Committee. The International Relations Committee seeks to engage in humble conversations and relationships to learn from and with global spiritual care health education partners. Next slide. It responds to requests for educational assistance and reciprocity from global communities. For example, this committee is in conversation with the CPE program in the Philippines about developing professional spiritual care there. This committee also explores certification reciprocity arrangements with spiritual care health education in Ireland and Australia at this time. Next slide, please. The International Relations Committee welcomes people who are interested and experienced in appreciating and understanding multicultural complexities. If you have experience living and or serving outside the USA and are interested in being a bridge between cultures, this committee will be a good one for you to explore the possibility of serving. Next, please. And I will pass the baton back to my colleague, Jill.
Thank you, Satoe. So I hope you're realizing that there are many ways to plug into ACPE with your interests and talents. And I hope you're already starting to ask, how can I get involved? There are multiple ways to do that. You can look for an invitation in This Week at ACPE that you get in your email. In the spring or summer, when our Leadership Development Committee Chair announces upcoming opportunities. And then just follow the guidance on applying for volunteer opportunities that are of interest to you. And you may also reach out to commission or committee chairs or members to gather more information about a possible good fit and express your desires with them. Next slide, please. And so in closing, as you now know, my valued colleague, volunteering within ACPE benefits you and is vital to the mission and ongoing health and continuous improvement of ACPE. We invite you to join us in this meaningful, life-giving, and often fun service in support of ACPE. And before we totally close, I'd like to give credit and say thank you to Mark Medwed and our entire Leadership Development Committee for all of their contributions to this presentation, making it possible today. And a thank you to all who are volunteering in ACPE and keeping us the vital organization carrying out our mission. And I want to thank you for engaging in this presentation on the whys and ways of volunteering in ACPE and staying true to CPE. We offer you these questions for your ongoing reflection. How have persons serving in ACPE made a difference for you? What are your gifts and passions for serving and volunteering? How would you like to engage in ACPE? And what's even one thing you can do now to serve others in ACPE? And I'm speaking for all of us presenting today and the entire Leadership Development Committee in saying that we wish you the very best in your certification process. Thank you.